I just want to. Yeah.
There we go. Good morning. I'm Aisha Chugtai, and I'm the chair of the Budget Committee. I'm going to call to order our regular meeting for Monday, March 4th, 2024. At this time, I'll ask the clerk to call the roll to verify the presence of a quorum.
Councilmember Payne.
Present.
Wansley.
Present.
Rainville is absent. Vita.
Present.
Ellison is absent. Osman is absent. Cashman.
Present.
Jenkins is absent. Chavez.
Present.
Chowdhury is absent. Palmisano is absent. Vice Chair Koski.
Present.
Chair Chugtai.
Present.
There are 7 members present.
Let the record reflect that we have a quorum. With that, we will proceed to our agenda. We have 7 items up for discussion today, which are all related to new and reclassified appointed positions. I will take these items by department. So we will hear joint presentations from Human Resources in conjunction with the relevant departments for the item before us, including the City Attorney's Office, the Auditor's Office, and the Office of Community Safety, along with the Health Department. We'll begin with items 1 through 3, which are the 3 appointed positions in the City Attorney's Office: Managing Attorney for Implementation, and the Deputy City Attorney position. I will invite Brenda Miller from the Health Department to begin the presentation, and then she'll be joined by City Attorney Kristen Anderson. Go ahead.
Hi, I'm Brenda Miller with the Classification and Compensation Department, and I'm here to talk about 7 appointed positions. The first one we're going to talk about today is the managing attorney job. This job combines what was previously the managing attorney civil and supervising attorney criminal positions into one job classification. The managing attorney is part of the city attorney's office and supervises a team of employees in the CAO, which includes attorneys and sometimes support staff for providing civil and criminal legal counsel. The new managing attorney has been evaluated at 685 points, grade 15. This evaluation is part of a larger study of the CAO office. Previously, we have evaluated and market-priced assistant city attorney positions, the 3 levels, and this is a continuation of that project. The base salary schedule for this position is based on internal equity and external market data. We looked at Hennepin County, Ramsey County, Dakota County, St. Paul, State of Minnesota, and the University of Minnesota for reference market points. The salary schedule for 2024 ranges from $160,000 to $190,000. In 2024, the annual costs of the base salary, benefits, and fringe for the 7 managing attorneys is about $1.7 million, which represents about a $179,000 increase or 11.5% increase, and this assumes benefits and fringe are 35% of base salaries. The incremental cost in 2024 is being paid for by the general fund should the CAO budget savings be insufficient to cover the additional expenses. This position meets the criteria of Section 201010. So it reports to the city attorney. It's a member of the city attorney's executive management team. It leads the development and implementation of city policy goals and strategic planning for the CAO. It requires leadership, vision, team building, and strategy implementation, and it establishes policies, goals, and strategies that are consistent with the goals and priorities established by the mayor, the city council, and the city attorney. Our request is that you find that the managing attorney meets the appointed criteria as defined in Section 201010 of the Minneapolis Code of Ordinances and forward it on to city council for approval. The next position we're going to talk about is the managing attorney implementation. Sorry, I forgot to advance the slides again. This position is part of the city attorney's office again and oversees and manages all the overall compliance and settlement agreement with the Minnesota Department of Human Rights and the future consent decree with the federal government. The managing attorney implementation has been evaluated at 685 points, grade 15, and again, as part of the CAO evaluations and market pricing. The managing attorney implementation position hasn't changed with respect to the 2010 criteria since it was last approved by council in February of 2023. The base salary schedule for this position is again based on internal equity and external market data. Similar sources were used. The 2024 schedule is $160,000 to again $190,000. The 24 annualized cost of base salary, benefits, and fringe for the managing attorney implementation is about $157,000, which represents a $25K or 10.7% increase. The incremental cost in 2024 is again being paid by the general fund should the CAO budget savings be insufficient to cover the additional expenses. Like the managing attorney, this reports to the city attorney. It's a member of the city attorney's office executive management team. It leads the development and implementation of city policies, goals, and strategic planning for the CAO. It requires leadership, vision, team building, and strategy implementation, and establishes goals, policies, and strategies that are consistent with the goals and priorities established by the mayor, city council, and the city attorney. Again, we're asking that you find that the managing attorney implementation meets the appointed criteria as defined in section 201010 of the Minneapolis Code of Ordinances, and that you forward it on to city council for approval. Our last position in the CAO office is the deputy city attorney. And again, the deputy city attorney is part of the CAO's office and focuses on ensuring the highest level of service delivery to virtually every area in the city's legal services for the criminal and civil divisions. The deputy city attorney position combines the previous deputy city attorney criminal and deputy city attorney civil, so it'll be one position going forward. The deputy city attorney is placed in the unclassified service through the city charter. The deputy city attorney has been evaluated at 790 points at grade 17 and is part of, again, the CAO evaluation and market pricing project. Again, the base salary schedule for this position is based on internal equity and external market data and adjusted to minimize compression with the salary schedule for the managing attorneys. We use the similar survey sources for the external market data. The 2024 schedule is between $177,000 to $210,000. The annualized cost of the base salary, benefits, and fringe for the two deputy city attorneys is about $517,000, which represents a 9.5% increase. And again, the incremental cost in 2024 is being paid for by the general fund should the CAO budget savings be insufficient to cover the additional funds expenses. Again, this position meets the criteria of 2010-10. It reports to the city attorney. It's a member of the city attorney's executive management team. It leads the development and implementation of city policies and goals and strategic planning for the CAO. It requires leadership, vision, team building, and strategy implementation. And again, it establishes policies, goals, and strategies that are consistent with the goals and priorities established by the mayor, city council, and the city attorney. And once again, we're asking that you find that the deputy city attorney position meets the appointed criteria of section 201010 of the Minneapolis Code of Ordinance and forward it on to city council for approval.
Wonderful. Okay, now we'll be joined by City Attorney Kristen Anderson. Welcome, Madam City Attorney.
Hi, Council Vice President Shugtai and council members. Just one correction that I wanted to make from Ms. Miller's presentation is that the managing attorneys actually report to the deputy city attorneys, not directly to me. The managing attorney for the implementation group, however, does report directly to me. and the 2 deputies report directly to me. As Ms. Miller identified, none of these positions are actually new positions. They went through a new sort of classification audit. We did some combining, so we don't have separate classifications for civil and for criminal. So really making those classifications cleaner. The 2010-10 factors are not any different than the positions already were, and they were already placed in the unclassified service. But this is really part of an office-wide look at all of the attorneys. And if you remember, in my office, there are attorneys, there are labor and employment attorneys, there are managing attorneys, there are deputy attorneys, and then my position. And this sort of the salary study all started. The attorneys, the line attorneys, are represented by AFSCME, and in the last round of negotiations, they negotiated for both a classification study and a market study. And through that study, we learned that, really frankly, not surprisingly, the positions were underpaid relative to a lot of our other public sector jurisdictional compatriots. We don't really look at the private sector so much. It's really hard to find market data for the private sector. They're not required to publish it. But for public sector entities, HR did look at that and found that, in fact, our positions were underpaid, and we were actually losing folks to other jurisdictions. Even just anecdotally, one manager actually left that position to go and make more in a neighboring jurisdiction as a line attorney. So it was really, really helpful to do that market study, learn that the attorneys' series was underpaid. We made those adjustments, similar adjustments to the labor and employment attorney, and now then looking at the appointed positions, because once you move the attorneys, then there becomes compression in the office between then the attorneys and the folks who manage and supervise them. So we asked HR to take a look at the managers and the deputies. Ultimately, they'll take a look at my position too, but that's not ready to go yet. But really looking at eliminating that compression, internal equity, and making sure that we pay our folks fairly, and that's obviously a huge attraction and retention tool.
Excellent. Thank you, Madam City Attorney. I'll first note that we've been joined by Council Members Rainville and Chowdhury in this committee meeting. I will also move approval of items 1, 2, and 3, and ask if there's any discussion. I see Council President Payne in queue.
Thank you, Madam Vice President. I was just curious, for the combining of the civil and criminal deputies, is that just combining the job classification, or is that combining the role?
Council Vice President, Council President, just the classification. The roles still remain very different. Mr. Bernstein oversees the criminal division. Mr. Nilsson oversees the civil division, but we really are trying, just generally speaking in leadership, to really highlight the one office, and part of merging those classifications is to recognize that we are one office, even though we've got different lines of business. We really come together as one office for the people of Minneapolis. So. And also, it was a lot easier doing a JAQ combined than to just 2 separate ones. So,
thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you, Council President. I see Councilmember Cashman next.
I'm in queue for Councilmember Rainville.
Wonderful. Councilmember Rainville.
Thank you. Excuse me. Thank you, Madam Chair. I'm happy to vote yes for this, and I want to pass on my thanks to you and all your staff for their professionalism and their hard work as we rebuild our city. So, again, thanks to you, and thanks to all your staff.
Thank you.
I will echo that sentiment, Councilmember Rainville, and I think it is shared by all of us here on the City Council. Any further discussion? Seeing none, on the motion to approve these 3 items, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, say nay. Any abstentions? The ayes have it, and that motion carries. Next, we have items 4 and 5, which are two new appointed positions in the City Auditor's Office, the Director of Policy and Research and the Director of Oversight and Evaluation. Again, I will invite Ms. Miller from Human Resources to kick off our presentation, and then she will then be joined by our City Auditor, Ryan Patrick. Go ahead, Ms. Miller.
Thank you. So the Director of Policy and Research is part of the City Auditor's Office and ensures policy analysis and research are conducted free from political influence or bias, allowing for impartial and evidence-based decision-making. The new Policy and Research Director has been evaluated at 610 points and grade 13. The salary schedule for 2024 ranges from $133,000 to $158,000. In 2024, the annualized cost of the base salary, benefits, and fringe for this position at step 1 is about $180,000. This position is included in the 2024 budget. Again, it meets the criteria of 2010-10 of the Minneapolis Code of Ordinances. It reports to the city auditor. It's a member of the city auditor's executive management team. It leads to the development and implementation of city policy, goals, and strategic planning for the city auditor's office. It requires leadership, vision, team building, and strategy implementation. It establishes policy, goals, and strategies that are consistent with the goals and priorities established by the mayor, the city council, and the city auditor. Again, we're asking that you find that the Director of Policy and Research meets the appointed criteria defined in Section 2010-10 of the Minneapolis Code of Ordinances and forwarded on to City Council for approval. The next position is the Director of Oversight and Evaluation. Again, the Director of Oversight and Evaluation is part of the City Auditor's Office and guarantees the oversight and evaluation projects are conducted free from political influence or bias, allowing for impartial and evidence-based decision-making. The new Director of Oversight and Evaluation has been evaluated at 610 points, grade 13. The 2024 schedule for the Director of Oversight and Evaluation is $133,000 to $158,000. And in 2024, the annualized cost of base salary, benefits, and fringe for this position at step 1 is about $180,000. This position is included in the 2024 budget. Again, this position meets the criteria of Section 2010-10 of the Code of Ordinances. It reports to the city auditor. It's a member of the city auditor's office executive management team. It leads the development and implementation of city policy, goals, and strategic planning for the city auditor's office. It requires leadership, vision, team building, and strategy implementation, and establishes policy, goals, and strategies that are consistent with the goals and priorities established by the mayor, city council, and the city auditor. Again, we're asking that you find that the Director of Oversight and Evaluation meets the appointed criteria as spelled out in Section 2010-10 of the Minneapolis Code of Ordinances, and that it be forwarded to council for final approval.
Thank you for that presentation, Ms. Miller. I will now invite City Auditor Ryan Patrick to join us.
Good morning, Chair Chugtai, members of the Budget Committee. These positions are listed in the ordinances that were passed under the new government structure, one creating the Policy and Research Division, the other creating the Oversight and Evaluation Division. Both lists that a director will oversee the work in those divisions. We, as you know, have been building out these programs over the last year, and it will be extremely helpful to have some leadership who have direct responsibilities for continuing to build that capacity and growing those roles. Therefore, I'm asking for these positions to be created.
Excellent. Thank you for that, City Auditor. I will move approval of items 4 and 5 and ask if there's any discussion. Council President Payne.
Thank you, Madam Vice President, and thank you, Mr. Patrick. I'm really excited to see these today. We've already seen some tremendous work coming out of the Policy and Research Division of the Auditor's Office, and I'm really excited to get Oversight and Evaluation up and running and strong. And I know that this was a long time coming to get some of these structural elements in place, so really appreciate this. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. President. And Councilmember Rainville.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And I want to thank you for your patience in all this. It's been quite a while since we had this vote, and these firm division lines between the administration and the council. The council needs your help, and you've been providing that with limited resources. So here's the start of us fully funding you. So thank you for your patience.
Thank you.
Thank you, council member. Any other discussion? Council member Chowdhury.
I just wanted to also say I'm very excited to support this. I have seen our city council operate through different government structures and moments where we really needed to see the legislative department have the support that it's needed to have robust policymaking tools that really at the end of the day are about impacting constituents in our communities to improve our city and really uplift their voices and create more transparency in different stops in the process where they feel like they can be a part of it. And oversight and evaluation is just another tool that ensures a robust legislative department that makes sure that there's a place for us to say, hey, if there are certain things operationally going on in the city of Minneapolis that aren't giving us the outcomes that we really believe in around equity and inclusion and belonging in our city, this is a place where we, as a legislative team, as a city council with our auditors, can really work on that to improve lives. And so I just wanted to take a moment to put in the public record that at the end of the day, this is grounded in the everyday people of our community that we care so much about and about improving the lives of our city and entering into this next chapter of Minneapolis that's really coming back and redefining its identity. So thank you for coming before us, and I'm super excited to be supporting this today.
Thank you, council member. Any other discussion? Colleagues, seeing no further discussion on the motion to approve items 4 and 5, those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, say nay. Any abstentions? The ayes have it, and that motion carries. Next, we've got item 6, which is the appointed position of director in the office of community, or the director of administration in the Office of Community Safety. Again, I will invite Ms. Brenda Miller from the Human Resources Department to kick off that presentation. She will then be joined by Commissioner Todd Barnett from the Office of Community Safety. Welcome back, Ms. Miller.
Thank you. The Director of the Office of Community Safety, or OCS Administration, is responsible for the administrative function of the OCS, including the planning, organization, direction, and coordination of financial and workforce-related matters for the OCS and its departments. The new Director OCS Administration job has been evaluated at 553 points, grade 12. The 2024 schedule ranges from about $120,000 to $140,000. At step 1, the 2024 annualized cost for the base salary, benefits, and fringe for the Director of OCS Administration is about $162,000 and is in the 2024 budget. Again, this position meets the criteria of Section 201010 of the Minneapolis Code of Ordinances. It reports to the Community Safety Chief of Staff. It's a member of OCS's executive management team. It leads the development and implementation of city policies, goals, and strategic planning for OCS. It requires leadership, vision, team building, and strategy implementation, and establishes policies, goals, and strategies that are consistent with the goals and priorities established by the Mayor, City Council, and the Community Safety Commissioner. Again, we're asking that you find that the Director OCS Administration meets the appointed criteria as defined in Section 201010 of the Minneapolis Code of Ordinances and forward it on to Council for approval.
Thank you, Ms. Miller. I'll now invite Commissioner Barnett. Welcome, Commissioner.
Thank you. Good morning. Excuse me, Chair Chuck Ty, President Payne, and other council members. This position, if it hasn't been stated, already exists with us. The director position of partnership and outreach is there. This is really changing that to a director of administration. And so why is that important? That's important because We need someone who's looking at our finances really strategically and proactively as we plan long-term for the Office of Community Safety and its 5 departments. Currently, what happens, at least in the brief time that I've been here, is that our departments really focus in on their current budget and the budget next year. And we're not really looking at and being very strategic about our short-term needs, midterm, and long-term needs. And that this position would proactively seek funding from the state level and the federal level. Right now, the way things happen, a lot of times we either get an email or we find out by word of mouth of these revenue streams, and this person would actively look for those. This position as the Director of Administration basically will be responsible for the long-term financial stability and the oversight in identifying revenue streams that would be assisting the Office of Community Safety and its other departments, looking at informing us about our financial situation long-term and informing us on making those appropriate decisions. This also provides a layer of compliance and accountability long-term. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. I'll move approval of item 6. Is there any discussion from council members? I see Councilmember Vita first in queue, followed by Councilmember Wansley.
Thank you, Chair Chuktai. Just wanted to say thank you, Commissioner, for this reclassification. Last term, there were just so many conversations around your new department and the staffing levels and what people were going to be doing in specific positions. So I'm glad to see that your office has taken the time to reclassify this and really look at how you can best use the staff you have. In speaking with your staff, I understand that some of the work that was previously classified in this, you're going to be taking on yourself, which is directly connected to community. I've always felt like that is a big part of the work that you and some of your lead staff should be doing. And there's always been questions around your budget, the finances, how things are being used. And so I'm really happy to support you in this today because you've clearly taken the time to really look at the staff in your department and how you can best use them. So thanks for doing this so soon in your tenure as our commissioner.
Thank you, Councilmember Vita. Yeah, to just piggyback on what you said, what we've noticed is that a lot of the outreach and partnerships are already occurring with me, with Chief of Staff Jared Jeffries, with Amanda Harrington, and also with our Director of Communication, J.L. McNamore. So a lot of that work is being done and will continue to be done. So thank you.
Thank you. Next, we've got Councilmember Wansley.
Thank you, Council Vice President. So I will name, there are still a number of unresolved questions that I know we've raised in the AO committee around, how to make an informed decision relating to, resources, not only within OCS, but also neighborhood safety specifically, and wanting to have some time to really make sure that this is the best use of resources. We've had these conversations in AO so much that on February 26th, that committee approved a legislative directive requesting an overview of, current capacity challenges within NSD. And I know that report back that you've been in conversations with my office about, as well as other vice chair. I know that's going to be coming back on March 11th. So I would like to make a motion to postpone the consideration of this position to at least the next budget meeting on March 25th, because by then we will have had the presentation in AO about challenges, use of resources to support NSD, and then we can, use that information to make an informed decision regarding this position too. So I am moving that motion, and just wanted to share that.
Councilmember Wansley has made a motion to delay this item to, I'm sorry, Councilmember, can you repeat the date?
Yep, the budget meeting on March 25th.
The budget meeting on March 25th, following the presentation in the Administration and Enterprise Oversight Committee. Is there a second to Councilmember Wansley's motion?
I'll second that.
Got a proper motion before us. We
Madam
have-
Chair, can I just make one quick correction? The next meeting of this committee is March 18th.
Oh, okay.
So I'm assuming that was the intended
Yes,
date?
thank you.
Thank you.
March 18th. Thank you, Mr. Clerk. We have a proper motion before us. I see a couple of other council members in queue. So we'll first go to Councilmember Rainville, and then after that, we've got Vita, Chowdhury, and Vice Chair Koski.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I was in queue to thank you personally for all the great work you've done in such a short amount of time, and the way you've organized your staff and the way you've outreached into the community. So thank you very much. I will not be voting for this motion to postpone. It's just putting another hurdle in the front of our commissioner. And the work he's done in the non-armed public safety in the 3rd Ward is phenomenal. So I do not want to stop 1 second of one day of that effort. And thanks again for all your help. And I urge my colleagues, let's just keep going forward, relying on the expertise of our commissioner to move our city into a new way of non-armed public safety. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember. Next, we've got Councilmember Vita.
Thank you, Chair Chuck Tai. I just wanted to get some clarity on the amendment, because this isn't a budget decision or any type of allocation of funding. This is just the use of an existing position in OCS. So I guess I don't understand, Councilmember Wansley, what the two things have to do with each other and why we would need to delay this for the work that Councilmember Wansley is doing. They don't connect for me.
Thank you for that question, Councilmember Vita. Councilmember Wansley, would you like to address Councilmember Vita's question?
Sure. I just want to make sure, Councilmember Vita, I'm capturing your question right. So you mentioned because the position that we're voting on is just a reclassification of a position, then that's not related to anything else around neighborhood safety. I'm trying to make sure I get your question
Councilmember
correctly.
Vita, do you want to address that clarification?
Thank you, Chair. Yes. So the what we have before us today is a reclassification of an existing position in OCS. What my understanding of what you were doing with your legislative directive was specifically directed to a department within the entire Department of Neighborhood Safety. I can't remember all the acronyms, I'm sorry. But the larger department. So what's before us today is about the larger department having financial support, having, all the things that the commissioner just brought up his department needs supports in. What Councilmember Wansley asked for was about one particular department and some needs there and some clarity. So I'm urging my colleagues to not support this because, one, it has nothing to do with what's before us today, and two, we can do this today, and she is 100% going to get what she asked for in that legislative directive without it interfering with anything, because they just don't intersect at all.
Councilmember Wansley, assuming you got the clarification you needed from the council member, do you want to address the underlying question?
Sure. I didn't hear a question. I did hear of direct, comment, but what I will name in the legislative directive that I brought forward, which was related to neighborhood safety, department within OCS, was it asked for an overview of a fiscal analysis of current needs, because what has come about is, we recognize that there are certain resources that might need to be allocated to NSD. And right now we're being asked to approve a position that it would be really good to know in light of that presentation on March 11th, is this the best use of the resources? We know within our committees, we have the ability to also reassess these positions. We've done that before. So it's not a matter of them not being related. But I do know for sure we have this presentation on March 11th. That can help us make a decision on, is it better to, have this position or the resources behind it be used to support NSD, or this is actually something that is of need for OCS.
Councilmember Vito.
Thank you, Chair Chuck Ty. I mean, the department head just told us what they need. That's the goal of this. And it's not a new position, it's a reclassification of an existing position. And again, the department head just stood here, gave us a presentation, said what they need to make the department function in the way that they want it to. And like, that's what I want to be supported, attorney. The attorney is Chair Chuck Ty.
Mr. Nielsen, do you want to jump in
Chair
here?
Chuck Ty. Councilmember Wansley, Councilmember Vital. It's been stated already, and it was stated several times by Brenda Miller, but just to reiterate for the committee, that the charge of the committee is to determine whether it's appropriate to establish the position in the unclassified service. That's the charge. And so in making that determination of appropriateness, you're just looking at the criteria in 20.1010. And that is really the sole issue before the committee today for all of these positions, but including this position.
Thank you, Mr. Nielsen. Do you want to continue, Councilmember Vito?
Yeah.
Okay, excellent.
Yeah.
Councilmember Wansley, did you want to address?
Yes. Yeah, so CAO Nielsen, thank you for providing that clarification. So as you mentioned, we have an appointed position in front of us, which again, we've seen these before in committee last year. So we're essentially being asked to approve the creation of this position. Correct?
Button, it's not working. Chair, Councilmember Vital, the decision is to...
Oh, I'm sorry, I'm not Vital.
Excuse me, sorry, Councilmember Wansley. The decision is to whether it's appropriate to establish it in the unclassified service. So again, I state that with full recognition of the committee's right and discretion to continue things really for any reason that you would like. I mean, you have that ability. But in terms of framing the specific issue at hand, it is just that.
Excellent. We're going to go back to our queue, and if either of the council members have further questions, you're welcome to get in queue. We'll start with Councilmember Chowdhury and then go to Vice Chair Koski.
Thank you, Chair Chug Tai, and thank you, Commissioner, for coming before the body. My question is for you is just a little bit of helping me understand what's going to be different here with the reclassification. Could you just share with me what the previous position was, and then role description, and then outcome that you're trying to get here?
Sure. Maybe a little bit of background. So once I was confirmed in looking at our staffing, there were some positions that were open. Those positions that were open at that time and that already exist was Director of Communication, which I filled at the beginning of December. Other position that was open was Director of Design and Implementation, which was filled, I think that one was filled in December, but Director of Communication was filled in January. And the last position that had not been filled was this position of Director of Partnership and Outreach. And so, as being here and seeing all the work that was being done, there is a lot of outreach being done. There's a lot of partnerships being done. I'm probably more external partnerships and outreach. You could look at our chief of staff is probably more internal with partnerships and outreach. And then you look at Director Amanda Harrington, which I think is a little bit of both again, outreach and partnerships that are being done internally and externally. And so when I looked at that, these things are being done and will continue to be done. The one gap that I felt was missing was a real strategic, financial, proactive view of our finances and budgets and how do we get grants? How about all the contracts we have? One of the things I learned being here is that there are contracts that, in my view, it's like, okay, why is the lead contract in the city attorney's office and not under neighborhood safety? Or why is there a contract in police that looks more like it should be under neighborhood safety? So looking at all these things and talking to all the department heads, they really seem to be more focused on their current budget, next year's budget, and making sure that's okay, and no long-term strategic planning for their departments, looking at how we can continue to sustain the work that the mayor and the council have tasked me with when you look at community safety and the initiatives, and looking at what's being asked to do with this community service ecosystem of services, just really looking and making sure that financially we have some oversight, some accountability, that we have compliance. So this position is really about is that long-term view and making sure that not only can the Office of Community Safety be in a good place, but also that all 5 departments can be in a good place. I guess one example that I would give you is, we are looking right now at the wellness for our police officers, and that was in the settlement agreement. And so as we're looking at their facilities and things like that, that's just one department of the 5. But someone like this could say, okay, we have contracts for wellness for our other first responders like fire and 911. Maybe we can have one contract that really covers all of them and have that view of that cost saving that it could bring. Not just looking at that focus in one place, but how can we maximize or leverage all of these contracts that we have where it crosses different departments, if that's helpful.
Yes, that's really helpful. I have just a follow-up to that. So with the reclassification of this role, what is like the human resources next steps to hiring this position? What's the timeline looking like on that?
Excuse me. We already have basically everything written up to post if we need to. There has been some folks in my mind within the enterprise and outside the enterprise that might be good candidates for these positions. As soon as HR can approve us posting and everything, it shouldn't take long. I would have to talk to HR about where we fall in their priority, and I don't know that right off the top of my head. So.
Okay, thank you so much, Commissioner Burnett. That's all the questions that I have for you, so I appreciate that. Since we do have a motion to amend or postpone on the table, I did want to just ask the author of that amendment a question. With the legislative directive, what are the pieces of information that are expected to come forward? I am not remembering the language that was listed out in the directive.
Councilmember Wansley, Councilmember Chowdhury has asked a question to you directly. Would you like to address that?
Sure. Thank you, Councilmember Chowdhury. So basically the questions that are raised in the legislative directive, there's about 5 points. Basically the first one is around, overview of current staffing challenges and capacity challenges within NSD, and then the fiscal analysis of any budget needs. And this is actually where, when it's my time to get in queue, I would like to get some further clarification on this piece based off of a budget presentation we received in August, October 13th from the former commissioner at that point around maybe money was moved from NSD to fund several positions in OCS. So that's also a piece of like, okay, coming out of last year's budget, NSD's budget needs, was there any appropriations moved over to OCS too? So that's going to be asked in that legislative directive.
Okay, thank you so much, Chair Chugtai and Councilmember Wansley. I don't think I have any follow-ups. I appreciate the answers. It's helpful in trying to get to a decision on this one.
Thank you. Next, we've got Vice Chair Koski in queue.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So I understand the legislative directive is coming forward, but I was just wondering, maybe high level, if you could describe the difference between this directive of administration role, and we had been talking about this potential deputy role in the Office of Neighborhood Safety. Is the deputy role for neighborhood safety, if that would be to be funded this year, how would this role be, or how could this role, or is this role in conflict, or would they complement one another?
Thank you, Chair Chugtai, Vice Chair Koski. Maybe this background will be helpful. When you look at police, and most of you will remember Robin, I don't remember her last name, who was like the budget person for police, right? And fire has a person, 911 has a person that's responsible for the budget and what they do in their operations and emergency management. So the position that you're talking about, I think it's a deputy of finance in neighborhood safety, would help them with their operation, their budget. Specifically, that would be that person's view, just like the rest of the departments have their view. A director of administration with OCS, like I was saying earlier, has a higher level view of what's going on and long-term planning for all of these departments and bringing them together. One thing that might be helpful is that Director Nelson Brown and I have had a lot of discussions. She is in the process of redoing her org chart. She is looking at her staffing needs and should be making a request here in a month or so with exactly what neighborhood safety's staffing needs are going forward. So that might be helpful.
Thank you, Commissioner. Yes, I think, where the conflict, or at least where I see the conflict, is that we approved last year this original role. And when we approved that, we approved you moving money out of the neighborhood safety department in order to fill those roles. I think where the conflict lies is that we are now hearing a lot of information about how we moved funding out of that department, but the reality is they need that in order to fulfill some of these roles. And so I am grateful to hear that the org chart is underway and that there are going to be requests. I am supportive of the legislative directive that's coming forward so that we have a really robust understanding. I personally feel that these are two roles that need to happen. And so I will be supporting, I would like to support that we move this forward today. So I won't be supporting the motion to postpone, because I do see the value from what I'm hearing from you in this role, and I see the value in what I'm hearing lately, but I'm anxious to get more information too about funding in 2024 more robustly the neighborhood safety department too.
Thank you, Vice Chair Koski. Now, I see a couple of new council members that have added themselves into queue under the main motion. So I'm going to just ask for a quick clarification. I know Vice Chair Koski just spoke, but I see Councilmember Wansley, Councilmember Cashman, and then Councilmember Chavez in queue under the main motion. Are you hoping instead to speak to the the amendment or the new motion.
Yeah, so, yeah, the amendment and then also the main motion. Yeah.
Excellent. So, Councilmember Wansley, then Councilmember Cashman, and then Councilmember Chavez.
Thank you, Council Vice President. Actually, Councilmember Koski really hit it on the head in terms of the conflict of information based off of actions taken last budget cycle in regards to NSD and how dollars were also moved to OCS. So I will name this predates you and your tenure with OCS. In light of that, if this is a separate position and there is going to be another deputy finance position being allocated to neighborhood safety. And I will name that's currently was not reflected in the presentation we received from the prior OCS commissioner last year. So I think that's the conflict that's trying to be reconciled. So with that, I'm completely fine with withdrawing my delay motion. I did have some clarifying questions, at least on the main motion then. Can I proceed with that? Okay. So in light of the budget presentation we got in October 13th and kind of just a status update on the org chart of OCS, can you share just like where we're at in terms of current FTEs and vacancies? I know we appropriated funding for 12 for OCS last year, and then at that point there was about 4 vacancies. Can you give us a status report on that?
Chair Chuck Ty, Councilmember Wansley, I was not prepared. I didn't come here with that information. I don't know it off the top of my head. I would have to go back and see. I know that this position is open right now. I think that we might have 1 or 2 other temporary positions. Because of the budget, some money was moved out of OCS, and then with one-time money backfilled. So there might be 1 or 2 temporary spots there. This position's not filled. Those are the only 3 that I know off the top of my head. I would have to go back and see, but I think everything else is filled at this time.
Awesome. And then I know, and again, the conflict around some of the money that was moved out of NSD was to go towards, you mentioned, Amanda Harrington's position. There were supposed to be 2 project coordinators funded FTEs under her position. Do you know if those were filled?
One senior project manager is under Amanda Harrington now, yes.
So will there still be 2 or just 1 out of the 2?
I'm not absolutely sure.
Commissioner, I'm so sorry
Yes.
to interrupt. Commissioner and council member, I'm going to interrupt here and I'll ask the clerks. Can you please note that we have an administrative follow-up on this question here? So we want to look for the current FTE count in the Office of Community Safety, along with the vacancies that exist at this time and what those vacancies are, what the positions that are vacant are. And hopefully that will address this.
Sure.
So we don't speculate.
Okay.
So, yeah, I wasn't sure where the commissioner, it seems like you wanted to finish your sentence.
No, I was just going to say that I think there's a position there, but we're being very deliberate about how we're going about filling these positions. And so I think that's how you see, or you've seen Ms. Harrington come on in December. You've seen a director of communications come in January. Amanda, I think, hired her senior project manager maybe about 2 or 3 weeks ago. I mean, so just trying to be deliberate about what we need in the roles that people are playing and what they can actually deliver. So I would have to get back to you. I believe that there is that position open. I just, from the top of my head, I can't remember what positions were actually FTEs were moved out and where we backfill. I just don't remember what positions those were.
Great. I look forward to at least getting that follow-up in the memo so we
Yes.
can kind of get a sense of, again, NSD dollars, where they were transitioned to, and either reclassifying or, funding new positions added to OCS, so that would be extremely helpful. And that's all the questions I had.
Yeah, I don't think, just to clarify, I don't think we're not asking for any new positions in OCS. There might be, I would say, I'm going to say this, there will be an ask from neighborhood safety, I'm sure.
Right, no, I meant last year.
Oh, last year. Okay, I'm sorry.
Yes,
I'm sorry. I thought you meant
yeah.
were we going to ask for any this year?
Right.
I'm
no.
sorry. I misunderstood.
No problem. That's all.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Commissioner and Council Member. I'll also note that we have in a couple months coming up here in the Budget Committee a biennial report on vacancies, so we'll have more information from not just the Office of Community Safety, but enterprise-wide around vacancies. So I understand that Councilmember Wansley has withdrawn her motion to postpone this item, but I know that we've got Councilmembers Cashman and Chavez in queue. Would you like to go ahead? Go ahead, Councilmember Cashman.
Thank you, Chair Chugtai. Thanks, Commissioner, for being here. Of course, I'm going to support, obviously, this position. It's great, and I'm wondering, I was wondering if this will resolve some of those Department of Neighborhood Safety contracts issues that came before us before. So it's my understanding that this person's role will be to handle that sort of finance administration.
At a high level, yes. I think, like I said earlier, I really do believe that the 5 departments in neighborhood safety, of course, stands out in this regard with the number of contracts they have there compared to the other departments. Their focus is just really on their current budget and what's going to happen next year. And this person really gives that attention to detail on those short-term needs and midterm, and then more importantly, strategically and proactively, those long-term sustainable financial needs for all departments.
Mm-hmm. And another follow-up question was, will this person in the administration have any role with police union contract negotiations or
No.
expediting that in any way?
No. Other than maybe the result of a contract and how that fits into someone's budget, but they wouldn't be directly involved with negotiation. HR is directly involved with the negotiations.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you. I'll note before going to Councilmember Chavez, who's last in queue, that we've been joined by Councilmember Jenkins. Welcome. Councilmember Chavez.
Chair Chugtai, thank you so much. I just want to add a few clarifications and some information that the Commissioner added on why lead is in the CAO's office instead of OCS. For the public to know, OCS, the COO, Commissioner Barnett, sent a memo to the City Council on November 29th, 2023, that the lead amendment should go to the CAO's office instead of OCS. So I just wanted to add clarification to that comment.
But I made that, I'm sorry. Chair Chugtai, Councilmember Chavez, I used that as just an example. That contract had been with the city attorney's office before I even got here. The fact that it's there or remains there has to do with the capacity of neighborhood safety. It would be great if all contracts related to neighborhood safety could be there, but they're not. So hopefully that answers that or gives you some follow-up there.
Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you, Chair Chugtai. I was just adding clarification to that for the public to know.
Yep.
I worked on that budget amendment, so I wanted the public to understand that my office did put it in NSD at first. Yep. And was told to move it to the CAO's office. Thank you.
Excellent. Seeing no further discussion on this item, the motion before us for clarification is approval of item 6. On the motion to approve, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed, say nay. Any abstentions? The ayes have it, and that item carries. Thank you for your time and your thorough answers, Commissioner. We've got the administrative follow-up that will be sent to your office later today, and we'll go back now to item number 7, which is the last item on our agenda. Thank you for your time, Commissioner. Item number 7 is the Director of Climate Equity Action in the Health Department. We will welcome back Ms. Brenda Miller from Human Resources, and she will be joined by Deputy Health Commissioner Patrick Hanlon to supplement this presentation. Welcome, Ms. Miller.
Thank you. The Director of Climate Equity Action is responsible for leading and coordinating an enterprise-wide approach to climate change. The new Director of Climate Equity Action job has been evaluated at 575 points and is grade 12. I'm sorry.
If you would just want to move to the next slide in this
Oh,
presentation. Thank you.
The 2024 schedule is as follows. It's about $125,000 up to $148,000. At step 1, the 2024 annualized cost of base salary, benefits, and fringe for the Director of Climate Equity Action is about $169,000. The cost is being paid by the general fund of the new Climate Legacy Initiative. This position meets the criteria of Section 201010 of the Minneapolis Code of Ordinances. It reports to the Deputy Health Commissioner of Sustainability and Healthy Homes. It's a member of the Health Department's executive management team. It leads the development and implementation of city policy goals and strategic planning for the Health Department. It requires leadership, vision, team building, and strategy implementation, and finally establishes policies, goals, and strategies that are consistent with the goals and priorities established by the Mayor, City Council, and the Health Commissioner. We're asking that you find that the Director of Climate Equity Action meets the appointed criteria as defined in Section 201010 of the Minneapolis Code of Ordinances, and that you forward it on to Council for final approval. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Miller. I'll now invite Deputy Health Commissioner Patrick Hanlon to speak to this position as well.
Chair Chugtai, Vice Chair Koski, council members. My name is Patrick Hanlon. I'm the Deputy Commissioner of Sustainability, Healthy Homes, and Environment. This position, the Director of Climate Equity Action, is part of a large initiative last year that started with passing our climate equity plan that came before council that really sets aspirational science-based targets for us to hit net zero greenhouse gas emissions by 2050. This position was part of a council-approved budget, as was mentioned. The Climate Legacy Initiative is the first phase of implementing that climate equity plan, which was a $10 million investment in climate action here in Minneapolis, which is probably more than 3 times larger of a budget than we had been applying to climate action previously. Being said, this first phase is creating a lot of new positions and programs, so it's not just the dollar amount, but it's a lot of process in creating all of these new programs. That includes green careers, workforce with CPED, weatherization that has an equity focus, including working on a block-by-block pilot across the city that will be starting this year, large greenhouse gas emission reduction projects with large businesses, portfolios of buildings, resources for small businesses as well, carbon sequestration, tree planting, and then of course with all of this goes administration. There's around 10 positions that were funded through this Climate Legacy Initiative. In this position, as mentioned, will be leading a team working on policy, outreach, and coordination. It'd be working with department leadership so that we can act as a combined enterprise as we address climate change. Looking at our climate equity plan goals. There'll be data tracking, so working with other folks with performance and evaluation, and then working with existing community advisory groups with the community to get feedback on the programming that we create this year. This is not only with the investments that the city has made, but there's incredible opportunities with the Inflation Reduction Act dollars that are coming out. In fact, with the city right now, and hopefully will be coming before council when this gets finalized, but we're a lead cohort on a $10 to $15 million request working on weatherization, residential weatherization and decarbonization. So really in need of a position like this that can help us have an enterprise-wide approach at a leadership level. And as we look across other agencies that are hiring in these positions, both public and private, if you look at sustainability, ESG positions, to have a position that is competitive so that the city of Minneapolis can be competitive in the folks that we bring here to lead this very important work.
Thank you, Deputy Commissioner and Ms. Miller, for your presentation. I will start by moving approval of item number 7. Is there any discussion, colleagues? Councilmember Rainville.
Deputy Commissioner, or as I prefer to call you, Mayor Hanlon. It's so good to see you again. Thank you for bringing this forward. Great expectations from the members of Ward 3, the citizens of Ward 3, about the weatherization program. So I look forward to working with you and your future staff to really get that going quickly. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember and Mayor Hanlon. Council President Payne.
Thank you, Madam Vice President. Yeah, I just want to echo Councilmember Rainville. We're just really grateful that this work is getting going, and we're so aligned on this. It's a lot of people like to talk about the city of Minneapolis as being dysfunctional, but this is that area where we are all marching in the same direction, and we're just all really excited to get down to the deep work of climate action.
Excellent. Any final discussion? Seeing none. On the motion to approve this item, all those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed say nay. Any abstentions? The ayes have it, and that item carries. Thank you all. With that, we've concluded all business to come before the Budget Committee today, and without objection, we stand adjourned.